He was a pathetic, lonely virgin loser who couldn't even talk to guys, let alone girls. But one day, he found himself in another world with just his farming skills and ended up rizzing every girl he met and even saving the world. Yuusuke Yotsuya was just your average high school student who mostly kept to himself. While their teacher was calling out attendance in class, the other students were busy whispering and gossiping about each other. One girl named Kusue Hakozaki was absent again, probably due to her weak health. After school ended, Yotsuya walked out of the building alone. On his way out, he overheard a few guys talking about another student, Shindou. She was popular for being great at sports and had recently been picked up to work as a model. Yotsuya didn't really care and just kept walking without paying them any attention. Once he got home, he did what he always did, locked himself in his room and played video games all night. The next day at school, while wiping the blackboard after class, he noticed that Shindou had shown up. He had looked her up online the night before and confirmed that she really was doing modeling gigs. What caught him off guard was seeing her actually chatting with Kusue. He had no idea they even knew each other. Things started to feel a little weird when both girls looked directly at him. After class, their advisor scolded Yotsuya for not handing in his form about future goals. As the teacher walked out, he saw the girls still standing there silently, watching him. But the moment he tried to tell them he was locking up the classroom, they had already disappeared. Then out of nowhere, something crazy happened. Yotsuya suddenly felt like the world twisted, and the next thing he knew, he was falling through the sky. He screamed, but luckily he landed in water. As he came up for air, he realized he wasn't in Japan anymore. This was a completely different place. Strange creatures swam around in the water, so he quickly swam to shore. There, to his shock, he found Shindou and Kusue waving at him. They warned him that something weird was about to happen. Before he could figure out what was going on, a creepy white mannequin with half a face appeared and started talking. Yotsuya was freaked out, but the mannequin ignored that and began explaining. He was the game master, and the three of them had been brought here for a mission. Their goal was to help a village chief, and they had 14 days to finish the job. When Yotsuya tried to ask what was going on, Shindou kicked him from behind to get him to shut up, though surprisingly, it didn't hurt at all. The mannequin said there were still 8 more tasks to complete. Every time they finish one, a new person will be added to their group until there are 10 of them in total. He then revealed Shindou's class as a wind mage and Kusue's as a warrior. When it came to Yotsuya's turn, the game master spun a wheel to pick his role. Out of all the options, he got one of the worst. He became a farmer. The game master vanished, and suddenly they were back on the beach, with Yotsuya dressed in farmer clothes. Later, Shindou explained that she had been dragged into this world alone the first time. After completing a task, she was sent back to Earth, where she convinced Kusue to join her. Then, when the second mission was done, the game master told them to bring Yotsuya along next. Yotsuya decided to accept this strange new life. Shindou showed him how to summon his weapons. He got a basic farming hoe and a sickle. As they walked through a forest, they came across a glowing magic circle. Shindou said it was called a log point, which stores past memories like recordings. Yotsuya touched it and saw a flashback of Shindou comforting Kusue on her first day. But before they could continue, 2 goblins appeared in the trees. Yotsuya rushed in with his sickle but got smacked so hard that the sickle broke. Shindou tried to use wind magic, but it barely ruffled the goblins. Kusue, nervous and scared, accidentally threw her sword. Yotsuya tried to pick it up, but he couldn't. Only the person assigned to a weapon could use it. He grabbed his hoe and tried again, but it snapped in 2. The goblins attacked and killed him instantly. His spirit floated above his body, and he watched Kusue die shortly after. Then he woke up. Shindou explained that in this world, they revive after 30 seconds, but only if someone survives. If everyone dies at once, it's game over for real. Yotsuya got back into the fight. This time, Shindou used magic to create dust, and he stabbed one of the goblins with his broken hoe handle. He died again from the injury, but at least he took the enemy down. When they both came back to life, Yotsuya asked how the girls handled the earlier missions. They explained those ones were simple, as long as at least one of them stayed alive. That night, the girls continued explaining the rules, the map system, the quests, and the reward for finishing tasks, one of which was asking the game master a single question. Shindou asked why she had been chosen, but the game master just said someone she knew had picked her. Kusue asked who they really were, and he replied that they were people from the future. Later, while Yotsuya was guarding their camp at night, he heard loud screams. He rushed back to find the place in flames and Kusue's body broken on the ground. In the distance, he saw Shindou trapped in the hand of a giant creature. She yelled for him to run, but before he could do anything, the beast bit off her head. Panicked and shaking, Yotsuya grabbed Kusu's body and ran into the night. The next morning, she had revived, but her hand was still missing, possibly because the monster ate it. That meant Shindou was probably gone forever. Knowing they had no choice, the two headed to a nearby village. The people greeted them like heroes. The village chief gave them their mission: defeat a terrifying monster roaming the countryside. To their horror, it was the same troll that killed Shindou. Yotsuya was crushed. Kusu had never even defeated a goblin on her own. How were they supposed to beat a troll? He told her that she was useless and better off staying behind. Kusu wanted to help rescue Shindou too, but he coldly brushed her off and said she was just holding him back. Still, he couldn't help but smile as he walked away. Compared to his boring old life, this world was way more thrilling. Before all this, the three of them had actually talked about their future plans. Yotsuya hadn't filled out his form yet, but Shindou and Kusu had planned to attend the same high school. Kusu even wanted to go to a pharmacy college. But now, Yotsuya remembered how quickly the troll had destroyed Shindou, and realized that if he wanted any chance of surviving or getting revenge, he needed to level up fast. While wandering through the forest looking for goblins to take down, Yotsuya came across another glowing circle on the ground. It was a log point. When he touched it, he was shown a past memory where Shindou and Kusu were talking together. They were chatting about how fun it would be to have a boy in their group. Kusu said she didn't like guys at all, but Shindou quietly admitted she hoped the new boy would be Yotsuya. The funny part was, there were two boys named Yotsuya in their class, so the one watching, our Yotsuya, got excited, thinking she meant him. But just as she was about to say which Yotsuya she meant, he sneezed in real time and missed it. Moving on, he finally found a group of goblins and started fighting them one by one. While battling, flashes from his childhood came back, him playing with his friends in the woods. But instead of making him feel happy, it only made him angry. One goblin ran away. But it didn't matter, he managed to hit rank 9 as a farmer. He began hoping he could switch his role to something better, like a swordsman. Then something terrifying happened. While checking his stats, he saw that Kusu had died. He panicked and ran back to the village, only to find it in ruins and burning. To make things worse, she hadn't revived like usual. That could only mean one thing: the troll must have eaten her. Looking for answers, he spotted another log point and touched it. It showed Kusu training on her own, swinging her sword clumsily. She didn't want to be a burden anymore. In the real world, her weak health always made her feel like dead weight to her family. But here, she wanted to be strong. When the troll attacked the village, Kusu had chosen to hold it off while helping villagers escape. She didn't stand a chance, but she still fought. When a child was almost caught, she distracted the troll again. But it ended with her getting grabbed and eaten. Her final words were a desperate cry asking Yotsuya to help her. Back in the present, the troll found Yotsuya and chased him down. As he ran, the troll leaped at him and smacked him high into the air. As he flew, Yotsuya thought about how he stopped caring after elementary school, how he became numb. But Kusu, someone who was constantly sick, had dreams of becoming a researcher in medicine. She still had hope. Yotsuya realized he couldn't keep acting like life didn't matter. He had to fight to protect his teammates. He hit the ground hard but got up and ran into the woods, just like he had once done as a kid when he saved his friends from a wild dog. He noticed the troll had a predictable jump pattern. He could dodge its attacks by changing direction at the last second. But he eventually messed up, and the troll was about to crush him. Just then, he saw a goblin nearby. Out of desperation, he stabbed it, praying he'd level up. It worked. The world around him froze, and the game master appeared, congratulating him for reaching rank 10. As a reward, he could now choose a new class. The wheel spun and landed on Chef. Yotsuya was disappointed, but things quickly changed when he saw that chefs got kitchen knives as weapons and a special skill that let them see where enemies' organs were located. When time resumed, he sprinted toward the troll and slashed its stomach open with his knives. This allowed both Kusu and Shindou to respawn. He taught them how to dodge the troll's attacks, and together they tried to bring it down. But the troll was just too tough, and they kept getting killed. After analyzing its weak spot, Yotsuya came up with a bold plan. He explained it to the girls and then charged straight at the troll, diving into its stomach wound. He started stabbing from the inside, but the troll yanked him out and crushed him. Following the plan, Shindou dashed in next and aimed her wind magic staff directly into the troll's open wound. With a huge blast of wind magic, the troll exploded like an overfilled balloon. The game master appeared again and praised them for completing the quest. The girls noticed they leveled up, but were annoyed that Yotsuya gained more levels than they did. As a reward, he was allowed to ask one question. Remembering what the others had asked before, He wanted to go deeper. He asked what happens after they complete all 10 stages. In response, the game master showed them a vision of the future. In the vision, they were wearing fantasy clothes in their current world, Tokyo. A giant magical portal opened, and an enormous dragon came out, threatening to destroy everything. Right after the vision ended, the three of them were suddenly back in their school classroom, sitting at their desks at the same moment they had left. Shindou stood up and thanked Yotsuya, saying she was grateful he helped her survive long enough to play in her tennis tournament. She asked him to walk Kusue home and left. Yotsuya, who had never walked a girl home before, awkwardly chatted too much during the walk. In the middle of the city, he remembered the vision again. As much as he hated the city, if they failed their quests, the place could be wiped out. Before they returned to the game world, Yotsuya had touched another log point after killing a few goblins. This one showed a scene from before he joined the group. Shindou and Kusue had just killed their first goblin, and Shindou hugged Kusue tightly with tears in her eyes, thanking her for becoming her friend. Back in the real world, Kusue texted Shindou asking how her walk with Yotsuya went. Shindou, feeling curious, asked one of her old classmates what Yotsuya had been like in elementary school. The classmate just said he was always quiet. Meanwhile, Yotsuya was out jogging when he got a sudden phone call. It was the game master. He gave Yotsuya a new mission: go to a school and talk to a girl. Following the instructions, Yotsuya ended up walking into a girl's bathroom and saw a group of girls bullying another girl by trying to take off her plot armor. He chased them off and broke their phones before walking the bullied girl home. On the way, he asked why they were harassing her. She admitted she had trashed them online, and this was their revenge. She told him he should try playing dating games to learn how to talk to girls and then ran off. 2 weeks passed. Then all of them were dragged back into the fantasy world. The bullied girl from before, Takatate Yuka, was panicking. The game master showed up and assigned her a role, Fire Wizard. Their new mission was to travel across 5% of the map and deliver goods to a place called Raidadorbo within 40 days. This time, their respawn time was increased to 40 seconds. Yotsuya tried to talk to Yuka, but she immediately called him a pervert. She explained her version of events to Kusue and Shindou, making him sound creepy. The two girls walked away, ignoring his side of the story. Shindou explained the rules of the game to Yuka and told her to stay calm and trust them. Yuka, who liked anime, saw Shindou as a brave, heroic character. She told Shindou about her experience with bullies and how she made peace with them by making Yotsuya the target instead. That helped her blend in and survive school. Shindou listened and told her that she never really got bullied because she worked hard at everything: sports, school, and friendships. Still, she always stepped in when she saw someone being bullied because she thought it was stupid. Yuka was impressed by her strength and sincerity, and in awe, she knelt in front of her, amazed by this goddess. After finally making it out of the dense forest, the group thought they could breathe easy, until something massive dropped from the sky right behind Yotsuya. It was the body of a huge dead insect. But before they could figure out what had just happened, something terrifying burst out of the corpse. It was a giant centipede, and it wasn't friendly. The centipede whipped its long tail around and flung a weird round object at them. The team scattered in different directions, and Yotsuya stared at the object, trying to figure out what it was. Just then, the sphere opened up, and to his horror, it wasn't a ball, it was a living pill bug, and it smacked Yotsuya in the face, instantly killing him. While floating above his body, Yotsuya tried to process what just happened. He used his chef's skill to scan the enemy and learned that this terrifying insect combo was called a demon bug cadmelet, made up of the giant centipede and the pill bugs. Their threat level was D-, but clearly they were still deadly. Another pill bug suddenly slammed into Shindou, killing her too. Meanwhile, Yuka, desperate to prove herself, stepped forward and announced that she'd take on the enemy. Ever since kindergarten, she had always dreamed of becoming a magical girl like her idols, Magiha Pink and Magiha Purple. She had watched the anime religiously, dressed up as them, and now that she had real powers, she was finally living her dream. She raised her staff, chanted her spell, and waited for her big magical moment. Her mana quickly dropped, and the staff started glowing, but nothing flashy happened. All it did was get hotter, just 20 degrees hotter. Before she could even react, a pill bug shot toward her and knocked her out instantly. Yotsuya expected that. She was only rank 1. Another pill bug flew at Kusue, who was hiding behind a tree. But Yotsuya revived in time, caught it midair, and sliced it with a kitchen knife. The centipede let out a loud screech and launched another one, but he managed to kill it too. The girls watched in shock as Yotsuya skillfully dodged and fought. Yuka even blushed, comparing him to one of her anime crushes. Yotsuya noticed the centipede didn't have poison or spikes, so he rushed in. Finding a blind spot, he grabbed onto its side and began hacking off its legs one by one with his kitchen knife. With no legs left, the centipede was helpless. Now, all they had to do was finish it off. Yotsuya then asked Kusue if he could hold her longsword with her hand on it. Yuka got confused by what he meant, so Shindou explained that in this game world, you can't use weapons unless you're assigned to them, unless the assigned player is physically holding it. That meant Kusue could still let Yotsuya guide the swing. They tried it, and it worked. Together, Yotsuya and Kusue brought the sword down and finished off the monster. Both of them leveled up after the victory. Later, a memory flashed. A small boy was crying and telling his mom that Shindou hit him. Shindou had run away after that, ending up alone by the river. While staring at the water, a kind high school girl approached her and asked what was wrong. After listening, the older girl told Shindou not to use violence, or she might lose her friends. Shindou replied she didn't need any, but the girl offered to be her friend anyway. She introduced herself as Sayuri, and the two walked off together. Months passed. One day, Shindou overheard her parents talking about Sayuri's death. They were grateful their own daughter wasn't ugly like Sayuri, implying that Sayuri's looks were the reason she got bullied. At Sayuri's funeral, the sight of her lifeless body left a painful scar in Shindou's heart. Shindou suddenly woke from that nightmare and saw Yotsuya exercising nearby. He noticed something was off. Shindou looked much sadder than usual. When he asked what was wrong, she grabbed his hand and pleaded for help. She finally opened up about her painful past. Shindou explained that before she met Sayuri, she was labeled as a troublemaker, but Sayuri's friendship changed her. Sadly, Sayuri couldn't survive the bullying and ended her life. Shindou herself was bullied after that too, but her friends always stood up for her. She realized back then that her friends were her real strength. But now, in this strange world, she was alone again, and she didn't want to die here. She held Yotsuya's hand and asked him to help her survive and finish the quests. Nervously, he said yes, while the others secretly listened in on their conversation. The next day, they arrived at the village where their current quest had started. But it was just a pile of broken ruins. A traveler happened to be passing by and recognized them as heroes. They asked him about the village, and he told them it had always been abandoned. Yotsuya guessed that maybe time moved differently in this world. Kusue thought about the little boy she had saved earlier, and hoped he was still alive. They asked the traveler about their destination, Reidadorbo. He didn't know where it was, but it was located across the continent. On horseback, they could reach it in a month. On foot, it would take them 3. Shindou begged the traveler to lend them his horse, but he refused. He needed it for his job. Instead, he told them about an upcoming martial arts tournament in a nearby town. The winner's prize, a few horses. The group agreed they'd enter, but first, they needed to level up. They went into a nearby forest to grind experience. But something wasn't right. Yotsuya suddenly told everyone to stop. They weren't dealing with goblins this time. Bandits appeared from the bushes, and a fight broke out. Yotsuya managed to injure one of them, but then a voice echoed in his head. It was the game master, warning him that attacking humans would reduce his experience points. He told the others, and they all started running instead of fighting. Shindou stayed back and used her wind magic to stall the bandits while the others escaped. But when the team finally stopped to rest, they realized Shindou hadn't made it out. She had been captured. Yotsuya was now stuck with a tough choice. Should they rescue her and risk failing their quest, or leave her behind and finish the mission in time? The girls were furious that he would even think of leaving her. Yotsuya explained his logic. If they failed the quest, none of it would matter. In his mind, finishing the quest was saving her. Kusue, however, disagreed. She told him that helping someone isn't just about survival, it's about not giving up on them. Eventually, Yotsuya offered a compromise. He would join the tournament alone while the girls would go rescue Shindou. Yuka was still mad. She complained to Kusue about Yotsuya's cold attitude, but she promised they'd save Shindou themselves. Unfortunately, things didn't go as planned. Yuka and Kusue were both captured by the bandits too. Now, looking at the map in his status screen, Yotsuya could see it clearly. He was all alone again. Later, Yotsuya continued hunting goblins to level up, and after defeating enough, he finally unlocked a new class, Creature Wizard. This new job gave him 2 unique powers, the ability to speed up living things' healing process, and the power to influence creatures just by speaking to them. Later, in the nearby town, Yotsuya entered the first round of a tournament. But it didn't go well. He was instantly defeated by a female knight named Kahable. After his revival, she approached him and thanked him for coming back to life. She was genuinely worried she had accidentally killed someone. Yotsuya took the chance to ask if he could borrow her horses, but she refused. So instead, he offered to work for her in exchange for the horses. She agreed, on one condition: he had to help her defeat something dangerous, like a troll, to make it worth the trade. Yotsuya smirked and said he had something even better. He knew the location of a bandit hideout. After giving the information to the Knight Commander, Kahable offered to train Yotsuya, since she noticed during their fight that he didn't know how to wield a sword properly. She spent the rest of the day beating him down during training. While getting tossed around, Yotsuya remembered how terrible he was at sports back in school. At sunrise, Kahable led her knights to ambush the bandits. At the same time, Yotsuya appeared on the girls' maps, so they knew he was nearby. The knights silently eliminated the guards and charged in after being spotted. The bandits, realizing they were losing, opened a massive gate and ran away. From behind the gate came something horrifying. A huge, wild-looking man with glowing eyes. Kahable recognized him as a berserker, a human who had gone mad after eating magic-enhanced flesh. The berserker was a monster in human form. Each swing of his blade sent knights flying. Kahable tried to block his attack, but her shield shattered instantly, so she drew her legendary weapon, Roy Keixa, the Greatsword of Annihilation. Laughing like a maniac, she shouted about how much she enjoyed slicing up enemies and rushed in. Yotsuya found her personality intense. Unfortunately, the berserker disarmed her and knocked her weapon away. As he raised his blade to strike her down, Yotsuya jumped in and tried to protect her. His block snapped his fingers and shattered his knife. Realizing brute strength wouldn't work, he remembered his creature wizard abilities and tried using his persuasive skill to confuse the enemy. It worked, briefly, long enough for him to stab the berserker in the back, but the berserker killed him in return. Right after, Kahable recovered her sword and decapitated the berserker in one clean swing. With the bandits defeated, the knights stormed the cells and rescued the captured girls. Yotsuya apologized to them for losing in the tournament, but they all started discussing how to continue their journey. That's when Kahable stepped up and offered to help. She volunteered to protect them on the way to Raid Adorbo, in exchange for getting to train them, since they would revive if she went too hard on them. During the journey, Kusue thought back to her school life. She always hated gym class and was constantly left out because of her health. Her grades in PE were always low because teachers judged her based on her condition. That's when she decided to devote her life to medicine, not just for herself, but to help her mother too. She had even promised her parents she would get a scholarship to a pharmaceutical university. But now, that life felt far away. She was locked in a cell, creeped out by bandits, and had witnessed brutal killings. In this violent world, survival meant fighting, and nothing was like what she had once known. Here, even knights looted corpses, and she no longer knew who she was. On the road, Yotsuya cooked for the group during their breaks, but Kusue couldn't bring herself to eat. The images of blood and dead bandits still haunted her. She quietly told Shindou that she didn't want to slow everyone down anymore. She wanted to become someone who could protect others, just like Yotsuya, who was always gaining experience, even just by cooking. Kahable soon returned and asked them to train. She sparred with Yuka first, then Kusue, pushing her until she collapsed from exhaustion. That evening, a few knights came back injured. They had been ambushed by goblins while gathering firewood. Yotsuya helped heal their wounds, while Kusue quietly told herself she had to train harder. Over the next few days, she gave it everything she had in training, but no matter how hard she tried, she still couldn't lift her longsword properly. Later, when they encountered another goblin group, Yotsuya volunteered to clear them out for XP. Yotsuya, Shindou, and Yuka fought well, but Kusue froze with fear. Suddenly, a goblin dropped from a tree right above her. With no time to think, she thrust her sword upward and killed it. Tears ran down her face as she apologized to the creature she had just killed. That night, Shindou praised her, but Kusue could still feel the sensation of slicing into flesh. Kahable joined in, talking about how satisfying it felt to cut things up. Her brutal honesty shocked the group again. She left shortly after, claiming she was off to hunt more goblins. Back when Kahable was a child, she used to watch her father train. One thing stuck with her: real combat teaches more than anything else. That idea shaped her. Kusue remembered her dream of becoming a pharmacist and realized that if she wanted everyone to make it home alive, she had to protect them. During their travels, one of their wagons got stuck in a crack. Yotsuya, a knight named Bimsberg, and a squire teamed up to lift and push it free. Soon after, they spotted another wagon in the distance, under attack. Soldiers, civilians, and even a child were surrounded by monsters. Without hesitation, Kusue said they had to help, but Yotsuya reminded her of their tight deadline. She glared at him and said she didn't care. She would rescue that wagon, even if she had to go alone. She reminded him of what she once said, that saving a life wasn't just about keeping someone alive. If they let a child die, then what were they even fighting for? Yotsuya smiled and agreed. He even guessed this might be another test set up by the game master. So, they decided to split up. The others would continue the journey, while Yotsuya and Kusue would handle the rescue. The two rushed toward the battlefield, where a group of kobolds, dog-like humanoid monsters, were attacking. Yotsuya shouted to the soldiers that they would draw the enemy's attention. He fought using only his pen and knife, while Kusue used her shield and sword. But they were quickly overwhelmed. A kobold slashed down Kusue, killing her again. Yotsuya was also pushed back and tried to use his persuasion magic, but it didn't work. The kobolds couldn't understand human speech. In a desperate move, Yotsuya jammed his finger into one of their eyes but still ended up getting killed. Thankfully, the soldiers regrouped and took out the remaining distracted kobolds. Once Kusue revived, she calmly faced the last one charging her. This time, she let the kobold leap at her and impaled it perfectly with her longsword. Yotsuya, now back on his feet, was impressed by her smart tactic. He led the final kobold toward their wagon, and right on cue, Kahable leapt out from hiding and sliced the creature clean in half. After the fight, Yotsuya healed the wounded soldiers and even used a trick he picked up from the berserker, absorbing some magic from the kobold's blood to recharge his own energy. The soldiers thanked him and introduced themselves as troops from the kingdom of Deox. They were taking a group of people to raid a Dorbo, but these weren't just civilians, they were criminals. Their crime was following a banned religion called Archeros, and the soldiers planned to execute all of them, including the child, once they reached the destination. The group was shocked, especially since Raid Adorbo was the place their quest was supposed to lead. They began wondering if these prisoners were the goods they were meant to deliver, and if so, would they fail the quest if these people were killed? Yotsuya remembered that hurting humans had earned him penalties before, so this situation felt dangerous either way. Kahable spoke up, saying Deox had no authority to kill people in Raid Adorbo, since that land didn't belong to them. But one of the Deox soldiers, Camilto, insulted her and mocked her country, Cortinal, for being weak. Kahable and Camilto started arguing, accusing each other's nations of wrongdoing, and it got so heated that they both drew weapons. Luckily, Shindou stepped in and stopped them before it turned into a real fight. Later, the group gathered to talk. Yotsuya said this might be the real quest they were sent for. Yuka suggested they could still deliver the prisoners but stop their execution once they got there, completing the mission while saving lives. Everyone agreed that was the best option. Since Camilto couldn't travel safely without them, he had no choice but to keep going with the group for now. While the caravan moved forward, Yotsuya stayed inside the wagon healing the sick child and trying to learn more about the situation. When the sun went down, they stopped to rest, and the group used the time to talk to the prisoners. One of them explained that Deox had been torn apart by conflict. Some people worshipped only the king, while others followed both the king and their god. Eventually, both sides started blaming each other and fighting. Religious statues were destroyed, and the king banned the Archeros' faith. The prisoner said their god taught love and peace, but many people misunderstood and turned it into something that caused violence. Yotsuya decided to also hear Camilto's side. At the campfire, Camilto explained that his father came back from war missing both an arm and a leg. Back then, soldiers' families often ended up homeless, but the current king changed that. He gave every wounded soldier a servant to support their household. Camilto said the king had always protected the weak and wanted to unite the continent to make everyone's lives better. That's why he supported him. Everyone listened quietly, thinking about how their own world also had a history full of empires and war. But Yuka couldn't stay quiet anymore. She said dictatorships were just another form of bullying, forcing weaker people to obey. She accused Deox of attacking small countries and turning people into slaves. Camilto got angry and grabbed his weapon, but Shindou and Yotsuya stepped in and calmed him down. Yotsuya said everyone had a right to their own opinion. A few days later, Shindou trained with Kahable, who told her that since they weren't as strong as men, they had to focus on precise technique and finding weak spots. At the same time, Camilto and Yotsuya were checking the path ahead. Kahable asked if the carriages could cross the mountains, and Camilto said he knew a different way through. Yotsuya and a knight named Binsberg helped push the wagon up a steep hill toward the alternate path. They reached a tunnel with strange old technology. Inside a large cave, water activated a moving bridge, and they crossed it in awe. But suddenly, a wall slammed shut behind them. Camilto and his soldiers had taken a hidden side exit and locked them inside. He apologized and said he couldn't travel with people who supported what he saw as a dangerous religion. Now trapped, Kahable told the others they had to keep going and maybe they could still catch up with Kamilto and stop him. After crossing the bridge, they found themselves in a hallway full of massive swinging hammers. Yotsuya noticed symbols above the entrance and rotated 3 nearby pillars until the markings matched. When he did, the trap stopped and they passed safely. The next hallway looked normal, but as soon as Yotsuya stepped into it, a wall slammed into him and sent him flying into a pit. After reviving, he told the girls to keep going while he climbed out on his own. The girls stayed behind to study the trap. Kusue wrote down the wall movements and figured out the right time to move. Shindou tested it first and made it through, then shouted that the rest could follow. Meanwhile, deep in the pit, Yotsuya slowly chipped away at the wall with his knife, making small footholds. As his torch went out, he was stuck in total darkness. All the loneliness from his past came back. How he'd isolated himself in school, never let people get close. But even alone in the dark, he kept pushing upward. After struggling for a long time, he finally climbed out. While feeling his way through the dark corridor, he stumbled on a glowing log point. What he saw inside shocked him. It showed memories of the others crying in the tunnel. Kahable was saying goodbye to Bimsberg, who had died. She promised to take revenge for him. Yotsuya searched until he found Bimsberg's body. He remembered how they had shared food, pushed wagons, and traveled together. Even though they hadn't known each other long, Bimsberg had helped them reach this far. Yotsuya quietly thanked him, then continued onward toward Reda Dorbo. As the group pressed forward, a gargoyle started advancing toward them while vampire bats swarmed from all directions. Kahable and the girls fought the bats off, pushing through together. Eventually, Kahable and Shindou made it to the center of the bridge, face to face with the gargoyle. Shindou noticed a key hanging from the monster's arm and figured that they needed it to continue their journey. Kahable rushed in to fight the gargoyle while Shindou focused on clearing out the remaining bats. During the battle, Kahable complimented Shindou's skills, and Shindou admitted she used to play sports. When asked why she stopped, Shindou remembered her last tennis match. She lost in the first round and blamed it on her weak physical stats that apparently carried over into this fantasy world. Still, she smiled and told Kahable she wanted to start playing again. But the moment turned tragic. The gargoyle stabbed Kahable in the chest, causing her to drop her sword and fall off the bridge into the water below. The gargoyle turned towards Shindou, who was now all alone. Scared, she backed away and stepped on one of the vampire bats. She shut her eyes, waiting to be struck, but time suddenly froze. Just like what happened to Yotsuya when he leveled up, everything around her stopped. The game master appeared and spun the wheel. Shindou had reached a new rank and unlocked the warrior class, but she was disappointed it happened too late to save Kahable. As time resumed, she charged at the gargoyle in her new armor, but her sword bounced off its body. The gargoyle hit her hard, breaking her arm and throwing her aside. She barely managed to grab onto the edge of the bridge before falling. Climbing back up, her arm quickly healed. Vampire bats attacked again, so she equipped her wizard hat to defend herself. Then she pulled out a shield and prepared for round 2. She spotted a wound on the gargoyle's stomach from earlier, likely caused by Kahable. She remembered Kahable's advice: to take down strong enemies, you have to strike vital spots like the heart, either through the neck or under the ribs. Shindou visualized where the heart would be, blocked the gargoyle's first strike, and even after losing her sword arm, she flipped through the air, caught her own severed arm mid-spin, and stabbed it into the gargoyle's neck, defeating it. Meanwhile, Yotsuya was racing through the map to reach them. As he ran, he thought about his life, his old friends, and the stories his teammates had shared. He wondered why he was chosen for this role. Maybe he was meant to be the team's leader. When he finally got outside, he arrived just in time to see Shindou take down the gargoyle. But then someone pointed to the water. Kahable's sword was lying near the bridge's edge. Without hesitation, Yotsuya jumped into the water to search for her. Hours later, Kahable woke up in a wagon. Her stomach wound had turned into a scar. The squire told her that Yotsuya had healed her by absorbing monster blood to refill his magic. He had pushed himself so hard that he passed out and was now lying nearby, completely drained. The squire left the two of them alone. Kahable quietly leaned over and kissed Yotsuya on the lips to thank him, unaware the other girls were watching. Embarrassed, she blushed and begged them not to tell anyone. She admitted that Yotsuya reminded her of herself, someone who was always fighting to survive. Later, she shared her backstory. Out of 3,000 people, she ranked 70th in her night training exams. But her father was ranked 2nd, and her brothers placed in the top 20. That pressure made her journey even harder. That night, Yotsuya woke up suddenly and shouted that he figured something out. The girls gathered around, and he explained his theory. In earlier quests, they were never told exactly which village to help or which goblins to defeat. So maybe in this quest, the goods they're supposed to deliver don't have to be those specific prisoners. They could be any cargo heading to raid Adorbo. With that in mind, Yotsuya suggested splitting into two teams. Team A would be Kusue, Shindou, and the Squire. Their goal was to travel ahead, find a merchant or trader with actual goods, and escort the cargo to raid Adorbo. Team B would be Kahable, Yotsuya, and Yuka. They'd stay behind and secretly follow the Deox soldiers who were still transporting the prisoners, and stop the execution when the time was right. Team A followed the main road, hoping to find someone heading to raid Adorbo that they could help. Team B stayed back, using the element of surprise. The soldiers thought they had all died in the cave, so they weren't expecting any more trouble. However, there was a bigger problem. Before they entered the cave, Camilto had sent a message back to his kingdom. If Deox found out about the fight between him and Kahable, it could lead to war. Deox was a massive kingdom, and Kahable's homeland, Cortinal, was small and would likely be crushed in a full-scale conflict. So before doing anything, they needed to get Camilto to write a letter clearing Cortinal of wrongdoing. Yotsuya knew there was a high chance that Deox would declare war anyway, but deep down, he also wanted revenge. He wanted them to feel the pain they had caused. The next morning, they caught up to the Deox soldiers and began watching them from a distance. That night, as they went over the plan, Yuka pointed out that Yotsuya sounded like a villain. Yotsuya explained that he'd played tons of RPGs, so planning to take down enemies felt normal to him. Yuka, who mostly played dating games, started asking strange questions. She wondered if Yotsuya thought this world was real, and if something like a kiss counted in this world too. She asked him if a kiss in a virtual world still counted as your first. Yotsuya figured she was planning to kiss someone, and said it wasn't about the world, it was about the experience itself. In his mind, real or not, it still mattered. While Camilto was briefing his soldiers about their next move, Yotsuya suddenly appeared. Everyone was stunned to see him alive. They drew their weapons instantly, but Yotsuya raised his hands and told them he wasn't there to fight. He just wanted to talk. Since heroes can't die permanently, Camilto knew trying to kill him would be pointless. Yotsuya explained that everyone in the expedition had died, and only he and Yuka were left after two other heroes fell into a hole. Yuka stepped out from hiding and added something shocking. She claimed that Yotsuya had converted to the Archero's religion. Yotsuya then made a threat: if they didn't release the Archero's believers, he would use his immortality to spread their religion across the world. He gave them until sunrise to make their decision. Later that night, Camilto met with his soldiers to figure out what to do. If Yotsuya really spread the religion, their entire mission would be pointless. But they also remembered that Yotsuya said two heroes had fallen into a hole. So, maybe he wasn't invincible. They couldn't kill him, but maybe they could trap or capture him. Then, out of nowhere, Yuka spoke up, saying she was tired of Yotsuya and wanted him gone too. She offered to take them to him. Camilto was suspicious but agreed. He took another soldier with him, leaving one behind to guard the prisoners. On the way, Camilto still didn't trust Yuka, so he stabbed her to be sure. But even after that, she brought them to the spot where Yotsuya was supposedly sleeping. But he wasn't there. Instead, they returned to their wagon and found Yotsuya standing there with blood dripping from his sword. The guard was dead, and so were the prisoners. Yotsuya lit the last prisoner on fire and sent the horse and wagon racing off into the distance. Yuka then revealed the truth: it had all been a trick. The person he burned wasn't a prisoner at all. Back during their planning, Yotsuya had explained his idea to Kahable and Yuka. He made fake bodies out of sacks and clothes, then knocked out the guard and dressed him up like a prisoner. That was the one they burned. Meanwhile, they rescued the real followers of Archeros and hid them in a secret cave on a cliff. Yuka had lured Camilto away, and Yotsuya had slipped into the camp to carry out the rescue. Now, the Deox kingdom would receive a report claiming that Cortinal's knights had died and the heroes were the ones who attacked the mission. Elsewhere, Team A, Shindou, Kusue, and the Squire was still trying to find actual goods to deliver. It had already been 3 days, and they only had 4 days left before the quest failed. Shindou worried about Team B and hoped they were doing okay. Back in the cave, Yotsuya and Yuka reached the safe spot where they had hidden the rescued prisoners. The people thanked them, and the child ran up to Yuka and smiled warmly. Yuka blushed at his praise, quickly telling herself that she wasn't into kids. In a flashback, we saw how Yotsuya had told the others the full plan. Yuka had questioned if he was ready to kill someone, but Yotsuya pointed out how they could summon weapons out of nowhere. This world probably wasn't real. Later, Yuka asked Yotsuya again if it was really worth killing someone just to stop a war in what might be a game. Yotsuya reminded her they were doing it to avenge the friends they lost. When she asked what his friends meant to him, he replied that they were like fellow survivors, like passengers on the same crashing bus. He said worrying about people in a game wouldn't help them now. Back at the Deox camp, Kamilto found the abandoned wagon, with the horse already dead. Furious, he punched the ground and sent a new message back to his kingdom, reporting the mission failure and the betrayal by the heroes. Then, just as he turned to his men, Kahable appeared and slashed his throat. As he fell, he realized Yuka had been lying all along. Kahable let him grab his axe, and the two fought, but she quickly cut off his arms, then his legs, and stood calmly over him. She asked if he had any last words. As he cried, remembering the face of the king he served, she raised her sword and ended him. Back in the kingdom of Deox, the king received Kamilto's final message. A soldier asked if they should send reinforcements, but the king refused. There were only a few heroes left, and it wasn't worth the effort. What worried him more was that the heroes, who were supposed to be neutral, had now turned against their kingdom. He ordered his people to start researching ways to kill heroes. Meanwhile, Yotsuya, Yuka, and Kahable talked about how their part of the mission was done. They didn't know what Kamilto reported to his kingdom, but they had done all they could. Now they had to figure out what to deliver. Yotsuya said he had 3 ideas left to try. Somewhere else on the map, Shindou's team finally reached a settlement. They spoke to the only merchant there, but sadly, he didn't have any deliveries heading to RIZZ Dorbo. Luckily, Kusue had another idea. Yotsuya's group packed some boxes into their wagon. Yuka was nervous about what was inside, but Yotsuya assured her it might be important later. The kid offered to help, and Yuka got excited by how cute he was. As they were about to leave, Yotsuya gave his seat on the horse to Yuka. Kahable, who was sitting on the other horse, gasped in surprise but stayed quiet when they all looked at her. On the journey, Yotsuya chatted with the kid about their adventures. Kahable walked beside them silently, looking a bit down. Yuka noticed this and remembered that Kahable had kissed Yotsuya earlier. She giggled. Maybe Kahable was sad because she didn't get to sit next to him. At their next break, Kahable tried to talk to Yotsuya but clammed up when the kid got close. Yuka, eavesdropping, was happy to see she was right. Later, Yuka thought about a dating game she once played where she helped someone confess their feelings. Inspired, she decided to help Kahable open up to Yotsuya. When they stopped again, Yuka offered to trade seats with Yotsuya, saying her butt hurt from riding. So on the next part of the trip, Yuka rode in the wagon while Kahable and Yotsuya sat on the horses together. Yuka let her imagination run wild, picturing romantic moments like in her games. But when she peeked into the wagon later, all she saw were the two of them asleep. A little disappointed, she came up with her next plan. At their next stop, Yuka remembered that in her games, couples often got close by sharing tasks. So she hoped Kahable and Yotsuya could bond while cooking. But Kahable beat her to it. She had already returned with a huge wild boar she hunted for dinner. Sadly, it didn't feel romantic at all, leaving Yuka disappointed again. After dinner, Yuka decided to take it a step further. She told Kahable it was time to train Yotsuya. While they sparred, Yuka happily imagined cute love scenes, only for her fantasy to be crushed when Kahable ended the session and said it was Yuka's turn to train. Now back on the horse, Yuka sulked and complained, while Yotsuya, confused, asked what was bothering her. Tima followed Kusue's plan. She figured that since this world had traders and delivery routes, there must be companies that shipped cargo too. All they had to do was find one and escort it to RIZZ Dorbo. While waiting on the road, they spotted a traveling merchant and offered to help guard his goods. But the wagon's current guard didn't like the idea. He felt like they were stealing his job. He challenged Shindou to a duel, but she easily beat him. After that, he stopped complaining. That night, Yuka was lying in bed, disappointed. Her plan to help Kahable confess her feelings hadn't worked out. Just when she was about to fall asleep, she overheard Kahable finally speaking to Yotsuya. Blushing, Kahable shyly thanked him for helping her get revenge for Binsberg. She'd been wanting to thank him all day, and now that she felt at peace. She went to sleep, but Yuka, who had secretly been listening again, was disappointed. She had completely misread the situation. The next morning, Tima continued helping the merchant with his deliveries. Even the guard who had once challenged them was now grateful. Meanwhile, Team B was also making steady progress toward RIZZ Dorbo. Yotsuya explained their final plan to Yuka. They had prepared 3 different types of cargo to try and complete the quest. The first was the 3 prisoners who were supposed to be executed. They brought them to a church where they would be safe. But after delivering them, nothing happened, no quest completion. The second cargo was the belongings of the fallen Deox soldiers. They tried selling those as goods, but again, the quest didn't finish. Finally, they delivered the third cargo, the suspicious boxes. At the same time, Tima was almost done escorting their merchant. Just when they thought they would finish the quest, a notification popped up. The quest was already complete. It turns out Team B's third cargo was the right one. What were in those boxes? They contained the severed heads of the dead Deox soldiers. They handed them to the authorities, along with proof of the crimes those soldiers had committed. Kahable even pointed the officials to the church, where the rescued prisoners were being kept. The guard thanked them and politely told them there was no need to bring heads again. Yotsuya and the others could only laugh awkwardly. Later, Yuka still couldn't believe that was the item that completed the quest. Yotsuya said it was probably up to the game master's judgment. Tima soon reunited with them, and now they had just one final task left, to explore 5% of the map. They had already covered most of it and only had a day and a half left. The girls all agreed on the same thing. They needed to split up and go in different directions to finish in time. Everyone set out alone, walking away from Raida Dorbo to cover more ground. Yotsuya climbed a mountain and looked down at the city in the distance. He checked the map and saw the others were still moving. They had covered 4.96%, just short of the required 5. But then snow started falling. From a tavern in the city, Kahable also noticed the weather changing. Her squire brought her a drink and said the locals were expecting a blizzard that night. As she watched the snow fall, Kahable remembered her final talk with Yotsuya earlier that day. They had watched the sunset together, and as she said goodbye, they shook hands. She was about to say something else, but he had already started walking away. Back in the tavern, Kahable looked at her sword and thought about all the memories they had made on their journey. She reminded herself she was a knight. The kiss she shared with Yotsuya. Maybe it was just something a girl dreamed up, nothing more. High in the snowy mountains, Yotsuya was struggling. He combined all his clothes from his inventory to try and keep warm. But the cold wind still cut through him. It was getting dark. He started to worry, what if he died out here? If his body froze to death, would he be able to revive in the middle of nowhere? He remembered that Shindou and the others hadn't revived after being eaten by the troll. Maybe it depended on where and how you died. To keep himself warm, he started doing knee lifts while walking. Elsewhere, Yuka wasn't doing much better. She was wrapped in her thin wizard cloak and yelling at the sky, saying if a blizzard had to happen, at least it should come with a hot guy to keep her warm. She imagined herself cuddling up to a handsome prince in the snow. Checking the map, she saw the others still moving, so she pushed herself to keep going. Kusue was also making her way through the storm, using her shield to block the wind. But her armor was freezing cold, and the wind was tossing her around. Even so, she pushed forward, determined not to be a burden. She was thankful for her healthy new body, and for her friends who believed in her. Shindou was walking alone, dressed in just her wizard robes. She passed a fallen statue and used her hat to shield her face. It hit her, she was alone again. The last time she had been by herself like this was during her very first quest. All the friendships she had worked so hard to build were now scattered. She had thought that staying close to others would protect her from ending up like Sayuri. But now, once again, she was all by herself. She kept walking through the snow until she saw a familiar-looking stone ahead. Kusue, meanwhile, was starting to fade. She checked the map and saw that everyone was still moving forward. That gave her hope. She tried to keep going, but her body stopped responding. She collapsed face first into the snow, struggling to get back up, but her limbs wouldn't move anymore. Back with Shindou, she wiped the snow off the stone she had just seen. Her heart sank. It was the same statue she had already passed earlier. She had been walking in circles the whole time. Dropping to her knees, she screamed in frustration, the howling wind swallowing her voice. Yotsuya was almost ready to quit. He had been walking through the freezing snowstorm for hours, completely worn out. He pulled up his map and saw that the rest of his team had stopped moving, probably frozen in place by the brutal blizzard. They still needed to cover about 10 more kilometers to finish the quest. Even though he was running low on strength, he knew he had no choice but to keep moving. He regretted doing those knee lifts earlier to stay warm. They drained the last of his energy, but he couldn't stop now. The others were probably freezing, and if he gave up, they'd all die. He thought about building a snow shelter and waiting out the storm, but he wasn't sure if there was enough time for that. Suddenly, he heard a deep growl behind him. When he turned around, a massive yeti was standing there, looking like it was ready to attack. The creature lunged at him and slashed his back, but Yotsuya managed to dodge the next hit. He pulled out his knife and even used a pen to block one of the yeti's attacks. After a hard and painful fight, he finally defeated the beast. When it collapsed, he noticed how skinny and starved it looked, probably why it was so aggressive. Then, a few tiny baby yetis popped out from the snow and gathered around the dead one. They were clearly its children. Yotsuya stood there, torn about what to do. If he left them, they would freeze to death. But he didn't have time to save them. He looked away and kept moving, focusing only on saving his teammates. He shouted to the sky that he refused to die. But right then, the snow beneath him gave way, and he fell into the darkness below. Meanwhile, in Yuka's mind, she remembered the magical girl show she used to love as a kid, Magija Pink and Magija Purple. They were her heroes. In one scene, the Demon King captured Magija Purple in a magic prison. He told Magija Pink to give up, but she refused and stood tall, glowing with power. With the help of her sister's magic, she transformed and gained wings, finally defeating the Demon King with one powerful blast. As a child, Yuka used to copy their moves, waving her toy wand and pretending to save the world. Now, all she could do was hide in the snow under a weak shelter. She couldn't even make her imaginary staff glow anymore. She started thinking about how weak she really was. Her friends were all stronger. She used to talk bad about them behind their backs and then clung to Yotsuya just to get close to them again. As she gave up hope, the magical staff she imagined started fading out of existence. Far below the surface, Yotsuya suddenly opened his eyes. He was alive again. His body had revived inside an old underground ruin. The place glowed with a soft light, and he started moving through the tunnels. Bones and skeletons lined the path, but he pressed forward. When he checked his map, he saw he was still making progress. Back on the snowy mountain, Kusue's spirit tried to return to her body, but the harsh cold made revival impossible. Shindou woke up from resting and saw the message on her screen. Kusue had died. Even though the wind was dying down, Shindou kept walking, and in the distance, she saw the lights of a village. She hurried toward it, hoping someone there could lend her a sled or something to help her reach the finish line faster. But she didn't realize she had stepped onto a frozen lake. As she walked, she heard the cracking beneath her, and before she could react, the ice shattered, dropping her into the freezing water below. At the same time, Yotsuya saw the notification that Shindou had died. He felt even worse. The more he tried, the more his teammates kept dying. He turned back through the dungeon, hoping for a new route, but every path he tried led to a dead end. He even crawled through narrow tunnels, but still couldn't find a way out. Then, the ground started shaking. A huge worm-like monster burst out of the tunnel wall. It didn't attack, it just kept digging. So Yotsuya followed it, crawling behind. The worm left glowing green slime in its path that he had to push aside. It was slow, and he got annoyed, so he jabbed it to speed it up. The worm started digging faster, so fast that it left Yotsuya flattened in the tunnel. But then, disaster struck again. A second, angry worm burst in from behind, crashing through the tunnel and charging straight toward them. Yotsuya was trapped, unable to move. All he could do was scream as the creature swallowed him whole. Back on the surface, Yuka checked the map and saw that Yotsuya had died too. She dropped to the ground, unable to believe it. Now she was the only one left. She smiled bitterly, thinking that now she had a reason to give up. If no one else was alive, no one could criticize her for quitting. She curled up on the snow, ready to fade away. Then, a voice called to her. She looked up and saw Magija Purple standing in front of her. Tears welled up in Yuka's eyes. Was this a dream? Magija Purple scolded her, asking her what Magija Pink always did after being defeated. The answer was always the same: she got back up. No matter how many times she lost, she stood up and fought again. That's what Yuka had seen all her life when she watched that show. With tears running down her cheeks, Yuka summoned her magical staff once more and lit up the snowy area with a fire spell. She began walking again, imagining her favorite video game character beside her, and all the Magija sisters cheering for her. She smiled through the pain but wobbled as her body started giving out again. Just when she was about to collapse, a voice called out and told her not to sleep. She looked up and saw a beautiful woman riding a giant cat-like beast. The lady recognized Yuka as a player and reached down to help her. Yuka took her hand, and the two of them rode together on the magical creature. As they traveled, Yuka told the woman everything about her mission. The lady was shocked to learn they were already on the 4th stage, but the timer was running out, just a few minutes left. Yuka was panicking, saying they wouldn't make it in time. Seeing her desperation, the woman pulled out a lance and called upon a wind spirit named Sylphid. A brilliant white light surrounded her weapon, and the giant cat began flying through the sky. Yuka was amazed and asked if the woman was a player too, but she said she was just a regular magic user. She summoned more wind to speed up their flight, and the two of them soared across the sky. As the last seconds of the countdown ticked away, Yuka squeezed her eyes shut, praying that they would reach their destination just in time. After some time, Shindou, Kusue, and Yotsuya were stunned. The quest had just ended, but none of them knew how. Yuka stood there, ready to proudly announce it was her, until the game master suddenly appeared behind her and congratulated them. As the reward, the game master told Yuka she could ask any question she wanted. Yuka took a moment to think. At first, she considered asking about the mysterious woman who saved her during the snowstorm. But when she glanced at her teammates, especially Yotsuya, she realized what she truly needed to know. She turned to the Game Master and asked, "Is this world real, or just a simulation?" The Game Master smiled and calmly explained. She said there are infinite parallel worlds, like branches on a tree. Every time a person makes a choice, turning left instead of right, surviving instead of dying, a new world is created. The further these worlds branch off from the original timeline, the more unrealistic they become, but they still exist. The Game Master and others like her can observe and even travel between these parallel universes, but only those that exist on the same frequency or wavelength. The world Yuka and the others were in branched off 4.6 billion years ago, and even though it looks just like Earth, it followed a different path. Yotsuya tried to ask a follow-up question, but the Game Master stopped him. Only the person who completed the quest could ask questions. Then she revealed the truth. This is not a simulation. This world is real. The only things that aren't real here are you. Everything. The skies, oceans, animals, and people are completely real. But the players, like Yotsuya and the others, are the only ones who are artificial or virtual in this world. Yuka was horrified, and when she looked at Yotsuya, she could see he was deeply shaken. The realization hit him hard. He had actually killed real people with his own hands. Later, Yotsuya suddenly woke up in his own bedroom on Earth. His phone was beside him, but everything felt off. The weight of what he did in that other world crushed him. He ran out to the balcony, trying to make sense of it. That night, he lay in bed, sweating and panicking. He had always said things like, "I wish people would die." But now that he actually killed someone, it didn't feel like he expected. It felt terrifying, like being on a roller coaster you couldn't get off. A few days later at school, Yotsuya went to PE class and started shooting basketball like a pro, ignoring everyone around him. His classmates were shocked at how good he was. Across the gym, Shindou and Kusue were playing too. Kusue was finally able to enjoy PE, and Shindou felt lighter, maybe from all the leveling up they'd done. They noticed Yotsuya but didn't say anything. They remembered how sad he looked after the Game Master explained everything. Yuka had already told them what happened, how their mission to save the Archero followers ended with Yotsuya burning a man alive. But Yotsuya just kept shooting hoops, acting like none of it mattered. After class, he left the gym and went home. As he walked, his mind kept replaying what he'd done. Suddenly, he got a new message from the Game Master. But instead of a mission, it simply asked, "What are your true feelings?" Annoyed, Yotsuya rushed home. He started wondering if the Game Master had tricked him into killing that man. But deep down, he knew it had been his own choice. He thought they were just NPCs, not real people. When he got to his room, he was startled to find a strange girl already there. She casually asked why he didn't respond to her email. That's when Yotsuya realized this girl was the Game Master. He explained everything to her. He believed he had a reason to kill the man because he thought he was evil. But now he wasn't so sure. If he had known the truth earlier, he probably wouldn't have done it. After listening, the Game Master invited him to meet the next player. On the way, Yotsuya asked why she had told him to flirt with Yuka back when she joined their team. But she ignored him. She handed him a hat to hide his face, and they entered a Chinese restaurant. Inside, she pointed to a man. He was a drug dealer, and in 20 seconds, the new player would try to kill him. That player was Tori Keita, a 19-year-old boy, and with him was his 14-year-old brother, Shuji. Just as predicted, 3 masked thugs rushed into the restaurant with bats, heading toward the dealer. Yotsuya had no idea who the player was, so he tripped the attackers before they could strike. He told them not to kill anyone, but one of them smacked him with a bat. Yotsuya fought back, stole the weapon, and blocked another attack. When one of the attackers shouted Shuji's name, Yotsuya realized he'd found the player. He ripped off Shuji's mask and warned him that the dealer had already escaped. He told him and his brother to get out fast before the police showed up. Then another gangster walked in, pointed a gun at Yotsuya, and demanded to know if he was part of the drug ring. Yotsuya froze, until the Game Master whispered to him, reminding him of his wizard gauntlets. He quickly summoned them and used his persuasion magic to command the gangster to freeze, stopping him from shooting. Yotsuya disarmed him, then warned Keita again to take his brother and leave. As he left, the gangster tried to shoot Yotsuya from behind, but Keita kicked the gun away and knocked the man out. Later, the Game Master told Yotsuya that he had prevented a murder today. She again asked him what his true feelings were. Yotsuya replied, "I'm not sure anymore, but I know what I need to do." He explained that by saving Keita and Shuji, they'd be able to complete their quests better. Just like with Yuka, he had stopped her photos from spreading, giving her a reason to return to the real world and the strength to keep going. Now, Keita would also have someone to fight for, his little brother. The game master asked him what he learned about the value of life. Yotsuya laughed bitterly and said, "Life has no value. Everyone should die." Meanwhile, the girls returned to their normal routines. Shindou was out chatting with friends, Kusue watched TV with her mom, and Yuka went back to her live streams. Finally, the game master asked Yotsuya who he thought he was to claim life had no value. He simply replied, "I'm just an ordinary teenager with a messed up sense of justice, and I'll do anything to fight for it." And that's where this video ends. Watch this following video and I'll see you in the next one.
Take you out.